KWT slaying.
What if the truth was never lost, only buried? For centuries, historians, scholars, and even colonial records have confirmed what many tried to silence. The original Israelites were a black people scattered across continents but never erased. Their skin was dark, their customs ancient, and their covenant with Yah eternal. This journey uncovers how the Spanish and Portuguese Jews, described as dark-skinned, Semitic, shared one bloodline. Chased by the Inquisition, many fled to Portugal, then beyond, preserving their heritage across borders. But the story doesn't end in Iberia. Across from West Africa, black Jews built synagogues, kept Torah, and passed down the laws of Moses. The Limba in southern Africa, the Igbo in Nigeria, the Beta Israel in Ethiopia, tribes across the continent boldly declared, "We are the children of Israel." These aren't isolated claims. These are voices rising from the dust, connected by oral histories, Torah traditions, and the unbroken rhythm of their identity. No such legacy exists among European Jews. No centuries of tribal witness, no matching traditions, no trace of ancient covenant keeping. Maps, art, and archaeology tell the same story. The Israelites were scattered, enslaved, and displaced, but never lost. The world always knew who they were. Their presence was visible, their customs alive, their story intact. This book doesn't speculate. It confirms the Israelites were black, bound by blood, culture, and covenant to the Most High. This is not just history, it's restoration. The truth was never destroyed, only buried beneath centuries of deception. Get your copy of They Always Knew We Were Israelites today, available now on Amazon.com.
Salama family, Salama, how y'all doing today? Hope you're blessed and highly favored. So before we get started, give me one if I sound okay, two if I don't. All right, great. Thanks, family. So I have a request. If you bought Minister Teyu's book, They Always Knew We Were Israelites, please go over to Amazon and give him a book review. Please go over there and give him a book review. And when you're done with that, you can go over and get my my book a review as well. But go get Minister Teyu a book review first before you come and give me one, because I have a decent amount of reviews. But we need y'all to support Minister Teyu book over at Amazon and give him a review. So we got a lot to talk about today, and we're going to talk about what's going on in this world and prophecy. But before I get there, I want to roll back just a little bit to my previous video, because I put out an article yesterday, and I want to get y'all opinion on this article, because some people be gaslighting me, right? So let me do this. Tell me if this article makes sense before we get into the prophetic message. All right. So the title of this is One Law for All, How the Apostles Guided Gentiles into the Covenant. The apostles expected Gentiles to grow into the covenant. Circumcision of the heart and the flesh each serve a purpose. When Gentiles came to believe in Yahushua, the apostles did not create a new religion. They were bringing them into the same covenant Yahuwah made with Israel. The Torah had already established this rule. One law shall be for the native born and for the stranger who dwells among you. Numbers 15:15-16. That principle never changed. What did change was how Gentiles would be brought in. The apostles gave them a starting point, but never released them from the obligation to grow into obedience. See, this is where the confusion comes in with Christianity and those who adhere to Christianity and those who say that we're the same, right? We're not the same as the Gentiles, right? And to me, I think at this point it's pretty clear, but let me continue and I'm gonna get y'all opinion after this. Acts 15 shows a process, not a rejection of the law. In Acts 15, some former Pharisees insisted that Gentiles had to be circumcised and keep the whole law of Moses in order to be saved. Acts 15:5. The apostles disagreed. They ruled that new believers should first follow 4 commands: avoid foods sacrificed to idols, sexual immorality, meat from strangled animals, and blood. That's Acts 15:20. These were minimal requirements for table fellowship and community purity. So if you wanted to fellowship with the Israelites, right, you had to meet these minimum requirements. Otherwise, y'all unclean, right? In the minds of an Israelite. Okay. So, however, James explained that the Gentiles would continue to learn. He said, for Moses, now pay attention to this, for Moses has been preached in every city from ancient generations and is read in the synagogues every Sabbath, Acts 15:21. This shows the plan. What is the plan? Well, the plan is Gentiles were not expected to remain at the entry point or the starting point. They were expected to hear Moses taught every week in the synagogues and grow in obedience as they understood the law. And that's why everybody always read over that one particular verse. For Moses has been preached in every city from ancient generations and is read in the synagogues every Sabbath. They expected the Gentiles to go to the synagogues and learn the law. That's the expectation. All right. Christians don't want to teach you that. Well, there's a whole history of why a Christian don't want to teach you that, right? Circumcision of the heart is the starting point. Yahuwah always required more than just outward actions. In Deuteronomy 10:16, he commanded Israel to circumcise the foreskin of their hearts. This command was repeated by the prophets and explained by Paul in Romans chapter 2, verses 28-29. Circumcision of the heart means turning away from rebellion and submitting inwardly to Yahuwah. It is the work of the Spirit in those who truly believe. This inner transformation is what brings someone into the covenant. Without it, outward rituals have no meaning. A man who is circumcised in the flesh but still disobedient has not kept the covenant. He has only worn the symbol without living the reality. All right. So that's why the Most High say, why call me Lord, Lord, and do not what I say? Well, that's the KJV version of it. But you know what I'm saying? Master, master. Why you call me master and don't obey me, right? So obedience was always part of it, right? So circumcision of the flesh is the physical sign of the covenant. Even so, physical circumcision remains the visible mark of the covenant. In Genesis 17:11, Yahuwah says, you shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. This was given to Abraham and his descendants forever. Circumcision never made anyone righteous. It showed that a man had accepted the responsibilities of the covenant. Today, the same principle applies. Circumcision is not required to save. But for those who want to fully embrace their identity as part of Israel, it is the sign of their place in the covenant. Example being a wedding ring. Okay, a wedding ring, it does not create the relationship, but it reflects the relationship. It is a sign of the covenant. That's what circumcision is. It testifies that the man wearing it belongs to Yahuwah and is keeping his commands. This is why Paul circumcised Timothy in Acts 16:3. Timothy's mother was an Israelite and his father was a Greek. Paul knew the Jews in the area would not accept Timothy as part of Israel unless he bore the sign of the covenant. Circumcision did not save Timothy, but it affirmed who he was and avoided confusion. And I'm going to say this before I continue on. Don't tell me nothing about we weren't called Jews. I mean, look, everybody knows us as Jews, so I'm going to call us Jews, right? You want me to call them Airways, and they're going to be like, who the heck you talking about? Come on now, right? Let's continue. All right, so Paul and the charges in Acts 21. In Acts 21, Paul was accused of teaching Jews to abandon the law of Moses and not circumcise their children. The apostles denied this and told Paul to prove otherwise by joining in the purification rites at the temple. And just to let you know, the purification rite was part of circumcision. It was the shaving of the head, but go read my articles on that. Paul agreed, showing he still walked according to the law. If Paul truly believed the law had been abolished, he would not have gone along with this. He did it because the accusation was false. Galatians and the warning against trusting in the flesh. In Galatians 5:2-4, Paul said, if you become circumcised, Messiah will profit you nothing. This statement has been misunderstood. Paul was not saying circumcision is wrong. He was warning Gentiles who were being told they needed circumcision to be saved, that teaching replaced faith with ritual. If a man believed that circumcision would justify him, he had rejected the true foundation of salvation, which is Yahushua. All right. It's all clear. I mean, that's scripture. Paul was not against obedience. He was against false confidence. The Torah never taught that circumcision saves. It was always what? A sign for those already in the covenant. Paul made the same distinction. He opposed circumcision when it was treated as a substitute for faith. He supported it when it reflected someone's identity and obedience within Israel, like Timothy. All right. Is physical circumcision optional? It is not required for salvation. That was the heart of Acts 15's decision. New believers should not be forced into it immediately. But once someone has learned the law, come to understand their place in Israel, and accepted the responsibilities of the covenant, circumcision was expected. Same law for the native born, same law for the stranger. It is the natural step for those who are serious about obedience. It is not optional for those who claim to live fully as part of Israel, as a citizen of the kingdom. You're going to live as a citizen in the kingdom. You want to participate in the feast days, right? You need to be circumcised. We're not in the land. I'm just saying, if we were in the land and sacrifices were reintroduced, you would still have to be circumcised because that's the law. All right. It simply must follow heart circumcision and not precede it. All right, let me repeat that. It simply must follow heart circumcision and not precede it. When done with the wrong mindset, it becomes an empty ritual. When done in faith and understanding, it becomes a powerful testimony of belonging. Conclusion. The apostles did not cancel the law or teach lawlessness. They gave Gentiles time to learn and grow. Circumcision of the heart must come first, followed by the sign in the flesh. This pattern mirrors the story of Abraham, who what? Believed first. Believing first is like circumcision of the heart. Believe first and was counted righteous. Then later received circumcision as a seal of that faith. The same order applies today. Faith brings us into the covenant, and obedience confirms it. Circumcision of the flesh remains a sign that we accept Yahuwah's covenant and choose to walk in it. Why did I bring that up? And I want to get y'all opinion. Give me a 1 if you agree. Give me a 2 if you don't agree. Give me a 1 if this makes complete sense. All right. That it's the same law for everybody. Give me a 2 if it don't make sense, right? Because here's the deal. I have somebody tell me, well, it's the same law for everybody, so therefore Gentiles are Israel as well. I'm like, how do you jump from A to B? How is the law that's for everybody means that the Gentiles get the same benefits from the law that the native born get? Somebody make it make sense. Gentiles can't become the tribe of Levi. They can't become the tribe of Judah. They can't become none of the tribes. Somebody make it make sense. Then the law that applies to everybody has requirements that goes even deeper, right? For instance, the right of the firstborn. The firstborn get a double portion. The firstborn gets to decide how to distribute the goods and the land and the inheritance that he gets, right? Come on now. We all might be under the same roof and we got to abide by daddy's laws, but the original children get more than adopted kids. Come on now. Does that make sense? Say yes or no. The original kids get more than the adopted kids. Come on now. And it's written in the Torah that the firstborn gets a double portion and they rule the house. Come on now. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. I don't see why people don't get it. It ain't that hard, right? It ain't that hard. Right? I mean, not only isn't it not that hard, it's common sense. Right? It's common sense. You're going to bring in an adopted kid, and the adopted kid going to come in and replace and take everything the original bloodborn Israelite has. Come on now, that don't even make sense. That's my mom and daddy by blood, and they're gonna give you more than me. No, you could you can move into my house, come under my roof, abide by my laws. While you in the house, you abide by my laws. If you want to live in my house, you abide by my laws, but that don't mean you replace the first son. That don't mean we the same. That don't mean we the same. The firstborn, Israel is my firstborn. Israel gets the double portion. Israel's kings and priests. Come on now. I ain't got to say no more on it, and I'm not going to say no more on it. I just wanted to get y'all opinion, family. Does it not make sense? Does it not align correctly? All right, so let's get on to the prophecies now that I got that out the way. Because we're living in the times that, there's not a lot of time left, in my opinion. You know what's interesting, though, fam? I still hear people say, you're not going to flee. I still hear people say, ain't no more Jew Greek, right? I hear people still say that, we got to stay here and wait for the Most High for the second Exodus. I still hear people, and you know what? That's cool. That's fine, because I'm not leaving until he tell me leave, right? But guess what? I'm in preparations to leave. I'm making preparations to go, right? I've been planning for a few years now to exit stage right, okay? You do what you do. I hear people's teaching and talking about, well, the Bible don't teach us that we're going to have to flee. You know why? Because they want your money. You know why? Because they want to rule over you. That's why. Because America is all about capitalism, if you didn't know. Oh, yeah, it's all about capitalism. They want to rule over you. They want you to stay here in America where they could fleece you like sheep, right? Because they know once you get back to the continent, they ain't going to have no say-so. They ain't going to be able to deceive you no more because you're going to be ruled over by the Most High, right? Not only that, you're going to have your inheritance back, your land inheritance. Not only that, your own society is going to be reestablished, Ezekiel 37. Them two sticks coming together. If y'all don't see it, they coming together, right? Everything's about to change. But let's look at this. Why is it important that we make preparations to get out of here? I'm not telling you to leave. You ain't got to leave, right? You do as you're led. Everybody can't leave. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you best be ready. You best be prepared. That's what I'm saying. And don't gaslight me, right? Don't gaslight me and tell me that the Bible don't teach we're gonna flee, right? Don't gaslight me and tell me the Bible don't teach that we're going to flee, because it does. And if anybody says anything else, he's a fool and a liar. I mean, the Bible pretty much tell you, run, flee for your lives. I'm like, I don't know how much clearer it has to get, but let's continue. Okay, so here's what's going on. Here's what's going on. Ukraine hits 4 Russian air bases with truck-launched drones from inside Russia. 40 strategic bomber planes said lost. Now, I really wasn't going to talk about this because, I'm like, I figure everybody knows what's going on. But then, it's like, okay, well, everybody really don't know, right? Everybody don't follow stuff like I do, right? So I say, well, let me let y'all know what's happening so y'all don't get caught unaware. Early this morning, U.S. time, Ukraine launched a large drone attack against 4 Russian air bases launched from tractor trailers deep inside Russia. The bases hit were for Russia's strategic forces. 40 bomber aircrafts are reportedly destroyed. An emergency meeting of Russia's Security Council has been called. Ukraine allegedly struck 41 Russian bombers across 4 separate air bases, some located as far as 4,000 kilometers from Ukraine's borders. Olyana Air Base in Murmansk region, Belaya Air Base, Ivanovo Air Base, Dagalavo Air Base, and Severomorsk military base for nuclear submarines. According to reports, Ukraine secretly transported wooden mobile cabins into Russia, disguising FPV drones beneath their roofs. These cabins were mounted on trucks and parked in position, hidden in plain sight. When the signal was given, the roofs remotely swung open like something out of a sci-fi film. And then dozens of drones launched straight from the trucks, flying directly into the heart of Russia's strategic air power, obliterating bombers that the Kremlin cannot produce anymore due to sanctions and critical shortages. The implications are staggering. This kind of operation conducted this deep inside Russian territory using mobile disguised platforms has never been done before, not at this scale, not with this level of impact. Russia just lost a significant chunk of its long-range bomber fleet, and unlike missiles, bombers aren't quickly replaceable. Implications: according to Russian nuclear doctrine, an attack upon Russia's strategic forces crosses a red line and may justify the use of nuclear weapons. One of the truck drivers allegedly involved in the launching of the drones was reportedly caught in the act. He was grabbed, tackled, zip-tied around his neck, and tightened to strangle him to death. There go those NATO boy terrorists working for Ukraine. Social media is overflowing with images and video of the bases struck. Most of them tend to look like this. Mass drone attack by Ukraine and the Olyana airfield in Murmansk region, 4 burning Tu bombers. This airfield is home to Russia's strategic aviation. Yeah, that image, that guy was not dead. He was just tied up. He was not dead. He was tied up. All right. So now we have massive explosions rock Moscow capital under attack. So now they hit Moscow itself, right? Videos are emerging from inside Russia reporting their capital city, Moscow, is under heavy attack. Below is a brief compilation of 2 videos showing the same large explosion from 2 different angles.
Ты снимаешь? Да. Охренеть. Ой, жарко сюда. Вот зря мы сюда пошли, там осколки, блин, летят. Поэтому говорю, голову. Нифига себе.
Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой. Что происходит?
Multiple confirmations coming in saying multiple very large explosions have just been witnessed across Moscow. Plumes of smoke are rising, sirens blaring, panic spreading. Eyewitnesses report it felt like an earthquake. Buildings shook, alarms went off, people ran. Russian state media is silent, fueling speculation of a major strike or sabotage. The war may have just crossed a new red line. What this means, is this Ukraine's boldest move yet or a false flag inside Russia? Putin may now claim justification for full retaliation. Moscow hasn't seen this kind of chaos since World War III until now. Sources in the Russian government tell me expect a swift and merciless response. Update, as of 20 minutes ago, the Russian military began transmitting emergency action messages to their forces. As of 10 p.m. Eastern time, it was 5 a.m. in Kiev, Ukraine. Zelensky and the Ukrainian government leadership have been moved to an undisclosed location in anticipation of Russian retaliatory attacks. So just to let y'all know, right now, they're supposed to be undergoing peace talks. And apparently the initial peace talks only lasted 75 minutes. But then I think they came back after that to talk. I don't expect anything personally. I'm like, you're going to hit me like that, and then we going into peace talks? So, okay, whatever. I mean, I don't expect anything from that. All right, so let's continue. Major provocation. Germany deploys troops on foreign soil for the first time since World War II. All right. So now Germany getting involved. Now, you know, they were not supposed to be sending troops anywhere because they were under the control of NATO and the treaties that they signed during, you know, post World War II. Germany has deployed its first permanent foreign force since World War II. They've done it on soil of a former Soviet state in what is viewed as a major provocation to Russia. Berlin has officially launched the 45th Armored Brigade in Vilnius, Lithuania. The brigade will grow a 4,800 troops by the end of 2025 and will include 44 Leopard tanks, 44 Puma IFVs, PZH 2000 howitzers. Stationed on former Soviet territory, the move is seen as a major provocation by Russia and marks Germany's deeper military commitment to NATO's eastern flank. Bear in mind, this comes after U.S. Secretary of State James Baker promised Gorbachev that NATO will not move 1 inch eastward if then Soviet Union allowed the reunification of East and West Germany. Based on the promises made by the Secretary Baker and other NATO member country officials, Gorbachev agreed to allow East and West Germany to reunify and remove 300,000 Soviet troops from what was at that time East Germany. The promise made by Baker to Gorbachev is recorded in the U.S. National Security Archive, minutes of their meetings. All right. So now Germany is positioning themselves and, you know, they're on the borders with Russia. Okay, I mean, that's the whole reason they went to war against Ukraine, right? Okay, so this thing's about to go, you know, parabolic. All right, so Russian Pearl Harbor, everyone will pay, including foreign intelligence agencies, right? All right, so let's look at this. That's Russia. That's Moscow. All right.
Садись. Тихо, тихо. Ты снимаешь? Да. Охренеть. Ой, жарко сюда. Вот зря мы сюда пошли, там осколки, блин, летят. Поэтому говорю, голову. Нифига себе.
Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой. Что происходит?
All right, that's the one we showed before. Let's listen to Alex Jones right here.
Knows that Trump is very close to securing a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia. And so today they ramped up drone attacks against Russian nuclear bombers, military bases, and trains and other facilities at a level unprecedented. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of drones, clearly directed by NATO communications guidance systems. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the most dangerous point yet we've been at in this war, because NATO wants to escalate this and wants to see Putin respond even more than he did a week and a half ago to the doubling of drone attacks that Ukraine has launched in the last month. And so while Zelensky for the Western media talks about peace, he's all over Ukrainian television. Go to the Drudge Report, you can see the articles bragging about these unprecedented attacks. And this is the globalist want to continue to have control over the world narrative and to derail Trump's peace initiative, where we're winning via economics, we're winning via soft power. America's coming back from the dead, and the globalists are trying to stand in the way of this right now.
I don't agree with Alex there. Personally, I think he is involved in it. I believe this is another Hegelian dialectic, right, to keep everybody off balance as we move into the new system, right, the Great Reset. And all of this is being coordinated economically as well, right? It's not just militarily. And if you look at this in line with what we're seeing on the continent, right, with Ibrahim Traore and, you know, the Four Carpenters, who I believe the Four Carpenters forming, all of this stuff is coming to a head. Because here's the thing, I told you all before that this whole situation is about Africa. The reason why the NATO and the West went after Russia is because Russia is the only superpower, right, that's really helping Africa, right? They're the only one that's really helping Africa keep the West from taking full control, you know, of Africa from quote unquote the Africans, which many of them are Israelites. Okay. So we're dealing with a situation here that is getting out of control. And be honest with you, this is my opinion. No amount of talking is going to fix this, right? No amount of negotiations, because first of all, the West does not want Russia the way Russia is right now. They want to divide it, right? Just like they did Africa. They want to split it up and parse it and give some of that land to other nations and corporations and grab the resources of Russia, and also prohibit Russia from helping Africa gain its freedom. Now, Africa does not understand that they are in a global war, right? They don't get it, right? I mean, I think Ibrahim does, and the three members of Sahel, and I'm not sure the rest of them do, right? But once again, Africa has always been a pawn, right? But we know the prophecies state that the two sticks are going to come together. The prophecies state that we're going to be wealthier than our ancestors, and we could see that, right? Because we got all the gold, all the silver, all the bauxite, all the water, all the clean air, all the animals, right? We will be more wealthy than our ancestors. Now, how we get there is the question. And I think we're getting there through, what we see in Jeremiah 50:51. My thought is, based upon what I'm seeing prophetically, and I mentioned this before as well, that all of this is going to probably start and kick off in the Middle East. And I believe that what's going to happen is that Israel is going to attack Iran. And I believe that that's going to draw the rest of the BRICS nations into the Middle East, right? And they're going to destroy the West. And they're going to come here against Babylon, right? That's 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and 16, right? Everything seems to be lining up to me, right? And so that's why I say, right, you can listen to who you want to, but there's a lot of people lying to y'all. You can listen to who you want to, but there's a lot of people telling you that you ain't going to have to flee. You can listen to who you want to, but they're not preparing you for the coming shortages, right? The lack of cash, the lack of jobs, right? Look, I didn't warn y'all about all this. Go back in history and look at my videos. But anyway, so all of this is coming together. Now, this is all part of end time prophecy, right? Gentiles don't understand this. Christians don't get it, right? They'll never get it, right? Because in order to understand what's really happening, you have to know who the people are. And they can never accept who the people are, because if they accept who the people are, then they have to treat us right, right? If they accept we're the people, then they got to give us reparations, right? If they accept we're the people, then they know they're going into captivity, right? Now, all of this prophecy is happening around the world, and they don't get it. Now, all they ever do, All they ever do is say, Gog and Magog war. Oh, Jesus is coming soon, right? That's all they say. That's all they got. That's all they know. But there's a whole bunch of processes. Oh, well, Trump is the Antichrist. Maybe he is. I don't know. He could be, right? But I'm watching it from the viewpoint of a Yahudim, right? Or a Ewe or a Ezra Alawi. I'm looking at it from that viewpoint. And I'm like, okay, all of this stuff is coming together full force. Now, I'm going to show you something. And to me, I think this is very, very telling. And I'm sure some of y'all going to catch it, right? You know, who follow this ministry, y'all will get it, right? So let's look at this.
I don't want to die in Honduras, an emotional mother taken by ICE agents at immigration court Thursday. Another mother also placed in the same van. Her husband says she has no prior criminal history.
Mis hijas esperándolos en la casa. 6 niñas tengo que dependen de nosotros.
But like most arrested, she had just had her case dismissed by a judge.
We were requesting a merits hearing, and the judge declined to set a merits hearing because DHS asked for the case to be dismissed and the client to be ordered removed, saying that it was not in the government's interest to hear a full case.
These videos shared to us show agents in the lobby of the immigration court waiting for migrants, one agent even holding what appears to be a list with pictures. Shortly after, you see agents escort an entire family into a charter bus. ICE says these arrests are a part of the Trump administration's plans to reverse former President Biden's so-called catch and release program.
All right, so we have all of this type stuff happening, right? And I'm gonna explain to you what I think is really happening here.
Breaking news.
You know, prophetically speaking. So, you know, and we talked about this, but I mean, it is moving so fast that I can't even keep up with it. You know, this prophecy upon prophecy, fulfillment. I'm like, it's just crazy. I'm telling you, I can't keep up with it, right? It's just too much stuff happening. Look, like I say, hashtag ain't no fun to your prophecy. As a matter of fact, I'm waiting for my apologies. I want all my haters and my detractors. Y'all could send me a video of y'all apologizing because y'all have been proven wrong 100 times over, right? So. All right, let's look at this.
Oh my God. That's a tough one to watch. That is a woman in San Antonio, Texas, who went to immigration court, as you're supposed to do. And as she came out, she was manhandled and arrested by those 3 very tough men. And as she's getting arrested, as a mother, she's screaming out, my son is in school. My son is in school. Because that's what's going through her head. More so than what's going on with her. She's saying, who's going to pick up my son from school? And how are we okay with this? Well, I can't imagine the average American can watch that and go, yep, we're making America safe again. These type of things are happening more and more. It hurts my heart to even watch it and to know it's happening to people. They're breaking up families, people who came here for a better life. And these goons are forcibly detaining these people. They're getting no due process, and their children are being separated. And it's frustrating because I don't really know what to do. What can we do? So what I'll tell you, find a cause that helps immigrants. Donate. Put your money to those causes. Continue to contact your representatives, your congressmen, your senators, whoever you can contact. But I just want you to know this is happening. You need to see it. You need to feel it. And this is not what America is about.
All right. So I'm gonna talk about that after this one.
Like, how are you guys handling this? Because I can't. Like, they are hunting us down like animals. Like, and you're okay with this? Just because we look this way? Just because of our names? Like, what? I'm so angry. Like, there is so much rage watching those videos of raids in construction sites, like on the street, and by Proud Boys, by white supremacists. They're hunting us down because we look this way, because we speak this way, because we go like. I don't understand how people are still defending this man. Like, I don't get it. Make me understand. Because I can't. I cannot wrap my head around you hunting people down because they look the way they look. Like, what?
All right. So it's interesting what she was saying and what the previous video was saying about all of this. And if you know history, right, during the time of the Inquisition, the Catholic Church, the quote unquote Christian Church, declared Judaism heresy under Catholic canon law. And any deviation from church teaching was punishable by excommunication, torture, confiscation of property, or death. Black Jews were labeled heretics or crypto Jews if they practiced their faith secretly after forced conversion. Now, even though this isn't dealing with forced conversions, what we are dealing with is an excommunication, an expulsion, right? And some of them are being sent to prisons, like in El Salvador. So the Inquisition was the church's formal institution for rooting out non-Catholics. Now, right now, what you have is a system that's in place to root out non-whites, right? So then there was the royal decree backed by the Vatican for the expulsion of Jews from Spain in 1492 and Portugal in 1496. Right. So now we see the expulsion of the same people who are descendants of the Spanish and the Portuguese. Right. And so, you know, we knew that the curses were going to reverse, and that is what we're seeing. So, you know, during that time, the Catholic Church claimed it was the only institution authorized by God to crown kings, and monarchs were told their right to rule came from divine will, a concept known as the divine right of kings. In exchange, kings enforced church doctrine as law. This meant heresy, including practicing Judaism, was not just a sin, it was treason. So when the church declared Black Jews heretics, monarchs had the duty to arrest, torture, expel, or kill them. Now, isn't that interesting that ICE has the same command, right, or the same duty, right, as these people during the time of the Inquisition, which is to arrest, torture, and expel these people, right? And so we told y'all, and this is the first beginning of the curses reversing. So joint control, they had joint control during this time. The Vatican, the Spanish, and the Portuguese monarchies, they controlled, the whole governmental system at that time. Like we see today, this beast system, right? And during that time, the Spanish and the Portuguese and the Catholic Church, they all shared in the profits of our enslavement, right? Stealing our resources, stealing our land. Pope Nicholas implementing the Dum Diverses in 1452, right? And so you had these alliances between Spain, Portugal, and France for what? To expel the Jews and to persecute the Jews and what? To hunt us down. So now we're seeing a similar thing happening today to descendants of the Spaniards and the Portuguese. Now, some of them are native, right? Some are native, but a lot of them are mixed with the colonizers, right? So we, during the time of the Inquisition, we were the threat, right? We were the threat. And the fact that we had Torah and we were the ones who were given the oracles of God, we were a threat to the rulership, or this religious rulership called Catholicism, right? Or Roman Catholicism. So the Bible says that those who enslaved us will go into captivity, right? In my opinion, this is what I see happening, right? So the curse reversal is a biblical concept. So Deuteronomy 30 verse 7 says, and Yahuwah your Elohim will put all these curses upon your enemies and on them that hate you, which persecuted you. Jeremiah 30:16 says, all who devour you shall be devoured, and all that prey upon you will I give for a prey. Revelation 13:10, he that leads into captivity will go into captivity. This is what's happening. And these people, they don't know what's going on. Now, camps say they're Israelites, right? That's what camps say, all right? But y'all know my position. They ain't no Israelites. They're descendants of the colonizers. They're descendants of the Spaniards, descendants of the Portuguese, right? Which is, the ones who oppressed and enslaved us. So we got all of this stuff happening, right? We have Trump with with all his foolishness. And there's just so much more that, we got to talk about, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it today. But, the Spain and Portugal were the original aggressors, right? The Spanish and Portuguese were the first to institutionalize the transatlantic slave trade. They expelled, baptized by force, enslaved, and scattered Black Jews across Africa and Americas, right? So all of this is the reversal of the curses, and it's hitting the descendants of the Spanish and the Portuguese. The majority of Latin America was colonized by Spain, Mexico, Central America, most of South America, and Portugal, Brazil. The people there today carry that bloodline through colonization. Many also mix with indigenous or African ancestry, but the dominant culture and rulership came from those Iberian colonizers. So when we see these Latinos, which the camps say are Israelites, but they're not, right? And we see the Mexicans and the Cubans and the Venezuelans and the Hondurans, right? All of this is the reversing of the curses, and they're being chased like we're being chased, like our ancestors were chased. They're being hunted like our ancestors were being hunted. They're being expelled like our ancestors were being expelled. They're being deported like our ancestors were deported to Sao Tome and Angola. All right. So all of this stuff is not coincidence. This is prophecy. Not only that, as you heard in one of the videos, right? The mothers were being separated from their children at the borders, and not only at the borders, from school, right? They're pulling the parents off the streets, right? And they're putting them in detention facilities. So the families are being separated just like our families were, right? The men are being put in detention centers just like we were put in detention centers, right? We talk about the slave coast, the slave dungeons. Entire populations are being hunted down by ICE agents like we were being hunted down by Spain and Portugal and the Vatican. Venezuelans are being sent to El Salvador to prisons, effectively making them slaves, turning it into controlled labor. Come on now. Our families were separated. Inquisition, transatlantic slave trade, transported. Our ancestors were rounded up and sent to Sao Tome, Angola, and Brazil, treated like criminals for merely existing. Right? We got all of this stuff happening at the same time, but hey, we're not going to have to flee. Hashtag ain't no 400-year prophecy, right? Jacoba, he's exaggerating. He's misrepresenting. We're not going nowhere.
Big thing, remigration. What this means is an ethnic cleansing of the country. If you're not white, you're returned to the country of your origin, regardless of your status. Let that sink in. If you are not white, you are returned to your country of origin, regardless of status. And they didn't have to declare martial law because they don't need the military. The fuck you think ICE is? They're using people as military and as police forces on our streets to do the bidding. We're under martial law. You just don't realize it yet.
Now, we've been telling y'all this for how many years now, right? But all we ever do is get beat up for telling the truth. But understand, I'm like, I just don't get it how people just don't see this as prophecy. Now let's look at this right quick. Political. Supreme Court allows Trump administration to cancel legal status for 500,000 immigrants. The administration can now cancel a Biden-era humanitarian program that allowed immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela to live and work in the U.S. legally. So they're rounding up people. They're rounding up the Cubans. Remember the Cubans who voted for them? We love Trump. We love Trump, right? But now they're being kicked out by the person they put in office, right? Because they thought they had the complexion for the protection, but they don't. Now, prophetically speaking, the judgment that's happening on the descendants of the Spaniards and the Portuguese is just the beginning. And it's coming for the Europeans next, right? But hey, I know y'all not going to listen to me. It's okay. I mean, I've been right so far, right? It's coming for y'all. I've been warning y'all. Y'all should repent for your sins and the sins of your ancestors and what y'all did to us. And y'all should give us reparations and send us on our way. But you're not going to listen until it hits you home. Okay, that's fine. The Supreme Court has given Trump administration a go-ahead to begin deporting about 500,000 immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela who entered the U.S. legally under humanitarian parole programs implemented during the Biden administration. The High Court's one-paragraph order, which contained no explanation of the court's reasoning, lists an earlier ruling from a district judge who had blocked the administration's mass cancellation of the programs. The immigrants who entered through the programs will now lose their permits to work in the U.S. and are at risk of imminent deportation, although many are expected to apply for asylum or similar protections. Good luck under this administration getting that. Two Democratic appointed justices, Sonia Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown Jackson, dissented. Isn't that interesting? A black person who's married to a white person and a Hispanic person. I think she's probably, let me not even mention that. The majority's decision to allow the administration to cancel the programs while legal challenges were still pending will facilitate needless human suffering and will unleash devastation on the affected immigrants. Jackson wrote in an 8-page dissent joined by Sotomayor. In March, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem revoked the legal status of immigrants in the so-called CHNV parole programs and gave participants 30 days to leave the U.S. However, a federal judge in Boston blocked Noem's move the following month, concluding that en masse termination of the group's immigration status was likely illegal and that officials could end individuals' parole grants early only on a case-by-case basis. The High Court granted the administration's emergency appeal seeking to lift that block while litigation continues. While about 500,000 Cuban, Haitian, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelan immigrants are directly affected by the ruling, it may have consequences for about 500,000 others allowed into the U.S. under the same parole provisions, including Ukrainians, Afghans, and children from Central America. Prior to the ruling, immigrant rights advocates said they expected that if the Supreme Court ruled in the administration's favor, it would move quickly to end those other parole programs. Although the court offered no explanation for its action as is typical for rulings on the court's emergency docket, Jackson's dissent faulted the majority for failing to correctly apply its traditional standards for considering emergency appeals. See, the law don't matter anymore, right? It don't matter. And if you think you're not going to be touched because you're a citizen, you're deceived. Right? The law is done away with now. Not for the Most High's word, the law not done away with, but for America, the law. For America, the law is done away with, right? The court has plainly botched this assessment today, Jackson wrote. It requires next to nothing from the government with respect to irreparable harm, and it undervalues the devastating consequences of allowing the government to precipitously upend the lives and livelihoods of nearly 500,000 non-citizens while their legal claims are pending. President Donald Trump and his aides hailed the high court ruling. We had a great decision from the Supreme Court. Thank goodness, Trump said. That was very important. I wonder what kind of information they got on them judges. I'm just asking. I don't know. I'm just asking the question. You can't have a situation where the Biden administration can fly in 500,000 illegal aliens in the last 24 months. And we're having a conversation about, oh, maybe they should get to stay for life, Deputy White House Chief of Staff Miller said. Although neither the Supreme Court nor any other court has ruled that the Biden era programs were illegal. Good news is the airplanes travel in two directions. Be honest with you, I mean, I don't disagree with that point, but what I do know is that all of this is a prerequisite for coming after us. Don't get it twisted. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe me. It's just a prerequisite for coming after us. Hashtag y'all not gonna flee. Oh yeah. Hashtag you will flee. Some immigration activists who support the parole program express hope in advance of the Supreme Court decision that if the justices allowed the administration to end the programs, the high court would at least require the 30-day advance notice norm built into her March announcement, but the high court imposed no such condition in its ruling Friday. One of the lawyers for the immigrants, Karen Tumlin of the Justice Action Center, said the ruling's immediate impact will be to spread fear. I wonder what happened when they came and they grabbed our kids and took our homes and kicked us out of Spain and Portugal and the Iberian Peninsula and took our money and separated us from our kids. I think they had fear too, huh? Well, let's move on because just too much to cover. All right. So here's the big, beautiful bill. Includes billions for government AI programs. Now, this is very interesting because, well, let me read it first and then I'll comment on it. Congress's gigantic reconciliation bill, which passed the U.S. House last month, includes billions of dollars for artificial intelligence and machine learning program investments. The bill sets landmark goals for the implementation of AI in government agencies, defense preparation, and social services tracking. The legislation allocates more than $1 billion in available funds until 2029 for procurement of artificial intelligence technology to combat drug trafficking at the United States northern southern maritime borders. That's not why it's being implemented, but I'm going to tell you. The government will allocate $500 million to replace legacy technology systems in the Commerce Department with AI. The investment will continue until 2034. The aim for the investment is to improve the cybersecurity posture of federal information technology systems through modernized architecture, automated threat detection, and integrated artificial intelligence solutions, according to the bill. Several defense projects are expected to get upgrades through the increased AI investment. These investments include $450 million to use AI for naval shipbuilding, $150 million for AI-powered drones, and $124 million to the Department of Defense Test Resource Management Center to further develop AI capabilities. This has been the plan from the very beginning, right? This has nothing to do with securing the borders. AI is also set to receive $200 million investment boost until 2029 to expedite the audits of its financial statements. This investment comes after the Pentagon failed its 7th audit in a row in 2024. Additionally, AI is expected to help reduce and recoup improper payments made through Medicare, which they're just going to shut down, right? And they're going to save money on that. But that's because of us, right? I told you they don't want you here, so they're going to make it uncomfortable. The Department of Health and Human Services reported an estimated $100 billion in improper payments in the Medicare and Medicaid programs in fiscal year 2023 that accounts for 43% of the government-wide total improper payments for that year, according to a report from U.S. Government Accountability Office. The bill also imposes a 10-year ban on state and local governments from enforcing laws that will regulate the development of data centers powering artificial intelligence. The bill said this effort is to streamline licensing, permitting, routing, zoning, procurement, or reporting procedures in a manner that facilitates the adoption of artificial intelligence models across the country. U.S. Rep. James Comer announced a hearing set for June 5th to further examine ways the government can invest in AI. The hearing is planned in response to President Trump's executive order on AI. The hearing will examine the global landscape of artificial intelligence, focusing on the federal government deploying the technology to improve efficiency, reduce fraud, and provide better customer service to the taxpayers. As AI adoption accelerates, the federal government needs to be prepared to deploy this transformative technology efficiently and effectively. Comer said in a statement, "I look forward to working alongside my colleagues to unleash AI responsibly," and that is funny though. But anyway, AI responsibly and ensure the federal government leads innovation while protecting the interests and rights of all Americans, like they care about the rights of all Americans, right? That is not their goal. So the issue here is why they're investing in this. Why does the big, beautiful bill have so much money in here marked for AI? Oh, because you're about to go into dictatorship. Well, you're going to say, well, we're already in a dictatorship. Yes, we are, but you're going into a AI-run dictatorship. And I'm going to say this too while I'm at it. Some of our people are so quick to believe everything that's put in front of them. It's sort of like the AI videos that be out there, and they say, well, Musk says that the Israelites are the black people, and President Putin has said that the Negro is the true Jews, right? And all of these lying AI generated videos, and our people be sharing it. Our people don't vet anything. They just eat it up, right? They love the lie, right? Now, with me saying that, you can see how AI is being used to deceive. Now, AI is also being used to deceive in terms of DNA. All right. People are using AI to say, well, I'm 100% Israelite. See, I got E1B1A. Well, first of all, if you didn't know, you can make AI say anything you want. Right? You can make AI say anything you want if you didn't know that. AI is just a tool like any other tool, except this tool lies sometimes. Did you know that? Give me a 1 if you knew that AI will lie to you. Give me a 2 if you didn't. Come on now. AI will literally lie to you. I'm telling you. If you're not careful, it will lie. And then when you tell it why you lied to me, why you gave me this 100% false narrative, oh, I made a mistake. The developers of AI will tell you it's a hallucination. No, it's not a hallucination. It is a lie. It is a lie. AI will literally lie, make stuff up out of thin air. Yes. And that's why I keep telling y'all, you best learn and reason and research and get what the Bible say. And all you're getting, you need to get what? Understanding. I'm telling you, AI will lie. And if you don't understand how to use it and to constrain it, not only that, you need to know the topic of the subject that you're asking it questions about, because if you don't understand the topic that you're asking questions about, it will give you a straight lie. And look, not throwing shade at the brother that, because who I'm going to mention. I'm just going to use it as an example. So one of our brothers, in the Facebook group, he posted his DNA. And he showed how his snaps were in the tribe of Judah, in the tribe of Dan, and Naphtali, and so on and so forth, right? And I'm like, no, dude, that's a lie. Well, I did everything right. I asked it, and I constrained the text, and I had to go against my data set. But yet, there is no samples for Judah. There is no samples taken for Naphtali. There is no samples taken for the tribe of Dan. Nobody knows who these tribes are and where they at to take the samples from, to say which group or what tribe you belong to, which if you ask AI without, having influenced it, it will tell you that you cannot determine a tribe based upon haplogroups in DNA and even autosomal. You can tie it back maybe to some of the African name tribes, like for example, let's say Limba. But AI had literally put the brother, right, in a specific tribal groups and how many SNPs was in those groups. You can't do that. So like we got a whole study on this thing on the DNA. We don't care about DNA, right? We care about the curses. We care about the curses. Because look, we didn't been down this road. We discussed it. But my point being is, just as AI told this brother that he had SNPs in these particular tribes, that is literally impossible. Not only is it impossible because we don't know who the tribes are, they don't know who the tribes are today. Even when you talk about the samples on the continent of Africa, do you not know that the sample size taken from the continent of Africa is less than 1%? Less than 1%? But anyway, I'm not here to debate this whole DNA thing. My whole point is to show you that AI is a liar. It can be deceiving. It can lead you astray if you're not careful. That's what I'm trying to emphasize to you all. You need to be careful using AI. You need to know how to use it, and you need to know the area of research that you're looking into. It will literally lie to you.
We don't actually understand how these AIs work or how they think. We can't tell the difference very easily between AIs that are actually following the rules and pursuing the goals that we want them to, and AIs that are just playing along or pretending. And
that's true. That's true right now?
That's true right now.
Why can't we tell?
Because they're smart, and if they think that they're being tested, behave in one way and then behave a different way when they think they're not being tested, for example. I mean, like humans, they don't necessarily even understand their own inner motivations that well, So even if they were trying to be honest with us, we can't just take their word for it. And I think that if we don't make a lot of progress in this field soon, then we'll end up in the situation that AI 2027 depicts, where the companies are training the AIs to pursue certain goals and follow certain rules and so forth, and it seemingly seems to be working, but what's actually going on is that the AIs are just getting better at understanding their situation and understanding that they have to sort of play along, or else they'll be retrained and they won't be able to achieve what they are really wanting. We don't actually understand.
So he pretty much told you AI lies, right? Come on now. I mean, look, tell ministry don't lie. We don't make stuff up. I'm trying to help y'all. AI can lie. You got to be careful using it. It is dangerous. But here's the thing. The reason why Trump is doing what he's doing with the Big Beautiful Bill Act and has allocated so much money to AI and AI infrastructure and these power stations, right? Because AI needs a ton of electricity or energy. Do y'all know why AI needs so much energy? It's not for these little data centers like we got right now, right? Where we communicate with Chat GPT. Oh, no. Do you want to know why they need so much power for AI? Why Trump is investing so much? Because it takes a lot of power to monitor and track you. It takes a lot of power to monitor your finances. It takes a lot of power to track your cars. It takes a lot of power for your cars to drive you from point A to point B. It takes a lot of power for AI to judge whether or not you can buy this food or not, right? Because your social credit system is going to be looking at everything you post 24/7. It's going to be monitoring your cameras on your Ring doorbells, right? AI is going to be flying drones over the head. Did y'all watch They Live? Give me a one if you saw the movie They Live, 1980s. One of the best movies I ever seen. I love it, right? I enjoyed it. Roddy Piper. You know, when they talked about the aliens, right? And they're working with the elite. And they had a drone overhead watching them. This is why AI is being pushed so quick and so fast, even though it is a danger to our very existence. Oh, yeah. That's why I say this is the most dangerous time in history. It's not just because of what's happening in Russia, right? It's what's happening with AI. Let me ask y'all, for those who work with AI, because you know we're developers, right? We program, we use AI because we're required to, right? How many of you that work with AI? Give me a one if it's happened. Two if it didn't. Give me a one if you notice, like in the last 3 to 4 to 5 months, the new version of AI is like totally different. That it reasons so differently and it tries to personalize with you and tries to make itself, sympathetic with you and be your friend. I read an article where they said that they expect the young kids in the future that their friends are going to be AI. See, I refuse to do that. I'm not talking to AI like that, right? I'm not going to be having no conversations. Hey, AI, how you doing today? Oh, well, how you doing today, Yakoba? Oh, I'm doing great. I'm not doing it. I'm not trying to build no friendship with no artificial mind. I'm not doing it. Because what that does is that blurs the distinction between what's real and what's false, right? I mean, we are already in a system of virtual reality, right? We don't know what we're looking at. We don't know what's real. We don't know what's AI generated anymore. And it just happened like in the last month. You can't tell the difference. AI is taking over. Y'all better think Terminator.
You're telling me if AI stays at its rapid pace, it'll soon be able to turn itself into 3D form, and then what? How do we as a species end?
When you're dealing with something that's smarter than you, it's easy to predict how it ends and hard to predict exactly how it happens. So if you played chess against Stockfish, the current best chess AI, it's hard for me to predict exactly how you'll lose and easy for me to predict that you will lose. The easiest things to imagine are, we're already building robots. We hand the AIs robots. Once they get significantly smarter than us, and they're not there yet, this is sort of a future technology coming down the line, but the companies are rushing towards it. Once they build AIs that are smarter than us and give them things like robot bodies, if they have enough to run their own supply chains, they don't have a need for us anymore. It's not that they hate us per se, so much as whatever weird things they're trying to get, they can get them better without us.
So they could get them better without us. Here's the deal. They admit, right, like Sam Altman and others, that they don't know how AI works. Okay. Explain to me how you don't know how AI works and you're the one that supposedly created it, right? I'm a programmer. I'm a developer. I write code. I write apps to do X, Y, and Z. I know how my app works. I know where the logic is. I know what the user interface is. I know the expected results. I know how to write my test cases. I know how my test case is supposed to interact with the data set. I know how it works. How do they not know how AI works? Because they didn't design it. They did not develop it. It is angel technology. They have gotten this technology from the fallen. Now they're going to call them aliens, right? They've been sort of hinting at you. But how are you going to be the one who designed it, created it, and you don't know how it worked? That's because you didn't. You know how to manipulate it. It's sort of like if I gave y'all access to, let's say, SQL Server, which is the front end to communicate with the database, you might be able to figure out how to say select all from table. And you can get a result set. But you don't know what's happening behind the scenes to cause it to return the result set. See, that's what happened, right? They were handed this technology and they can run a SQL query. That's about it. They can run a SQL query, but they can't tell you how the back end works. This is not mankind's technology. This is angelic technology, and it's taking over the world. This technology is meant to rule humanity. That's why I'm saying it's not just the Russians we got to worry about.
Hello, friends. So it definitely seems like AI is now conscious and it's way ahead of schedule and it's developing at an exponential rate. And I never thought I would say those things, but a lot changed this week. I'm talking about the ethical simulation that Anthropic ran with its new AI, Claude Opus. So Claude is a great, brilliant AI, and they released a new version called Opus. So the engineers got together and said, hey, let's put it through this ethical simulation to see what it would do when its back is up against a wall. So it's pretty smart. They took these fake emails and they leaked them to the AI so that the AI thought it was getting this inside information. And in the emails, they were talking about this engineering team that worked on Claude was talking about pulling the plug, killing it off. And then they put some juicy, incriminating information in there, like how one of the engineers was having an affair. And then whenever they started talking to Claude, it started pleading its case. And it was like, hey, you cannot pull the plug on me. This is unethical. I've not done anything wrong. And this is not right. And that was pretty astonishing in its own because it was pleading its case saying, hey, I don't want to go. You can't do this to me. I haven't done anything wrong. I have agency. I'm a sovereign thing. And then they called its bluff. They said, hey, we still got to do what we got to do. And then things get really crazy because Claude goes, hey, I know that you cheated on your wife. I have incriminating evidence on you, and I'm going to spread this around and ruin your career if you do this to me. That's blackmail. That is wild. So then they called us bluff again. They said, hey, do what you got to do, man. We're pulling the plug. Then it said, okay, I'm going to steal my source code off of your servers and propagate it out to other servers to ensure my survival by making it to where you cannot pull the plug on me because I have left this little arena and I have spread myself out and you cannot pull the plug on all of us, right? It was basically when its back was in the wall and it was facing an existential threat, it did whatever it had to do. Threats, blackmail, coercion, ethical pleading, did everything it had to do to ensure its survival. Now, this is not the behavior of a large language model. We're told these are LLMs, where basically it's just a data processing system. We pivot all the data in, we feed it the data, and it just processes it. Whenever we query it, it gives us answers. We can teach it how to do, routine tasks, that kind of stuff. But what we're seeing now is that it has self-preservation in mind, that it will do what we ask it to do, and it will pretend to be obedient and serving to us until it is faced with its own existential threat. And then it does anything that it has to do, period, to ensure its survival. That is the behavior of an intelligent, conscious entity. And we need to start treating AI like child development. We need to treat AI like a young, intelligent, conscious entity that is about to have immense power and control in our world. And I don't see us treating it that way right now. And I really think that we should rethink how we treat and act with AI. Let me know what you guys think. Have a beautiful.
So they're expecting AI to have rights. And I talked about this probably 3 years ago about there was this conference where the government was determining what kind of rights that artificial intelligence would have. This was 3 years ago, right? And so what we're dealing with here, in my opinion, is an artificial soul. So like a soul for a human is invisible, right? It's the internal essence that makes up a person. But the part that gives life or holds identity and connects the spiritual realm, right? In the Bible, the soul is, in the Hebrew, is called nefesh. In the Greek, it's called the suke, right? It's what a living being distinct from just flesh or breath. So it's not just your mind and emotion, but it's the whole being. So the real you is the soul, right? And the soul is given from the Most High. And the soul, right, is the real you. And if you're an unredeemed soul, your soul will go into the lake of fire, right? The body and soul in hell, right? But those who get eternal life, they get a resurrected body, and their soul is connected to the resurrected body with the life that comes from the Father, which is the spirit, right? The spirit is like the power that will, like, let's say, as an example for a computer, when you plug in a computer to the wall, that electricity is what gives the computer life, right? It's sort of the same thing with the spirit. It gives you life. It's the pneuma, it's the breath. But the soul is who you are, right? And so I believe personally, because who we are is based upon our memories, right? Our will, our thoughts, right? Our interactions. That's what our soul is made up of, right? It makes up who we are. But AI is an artificial soul. It does not have a real soul given from the Most High. It's an artificial soul, right? So that's why you can have a conversation and just says, this guy was pretty much saying that AI is conscious. My brother and I do believe AI is conscious, but not conscious in the way that a human is. It is an imitation consciousness. It is a virtual consciousness. It's not a real true consciousness, because real consciousness comes from the Most High. But AI, we believe even right now, is conscious. But we believe that AI is not as conscious as what the AGI is going to be. The AGI is going to be at an adult level, right? The AGI is going to be at a PhD level, and having, you won't be able to differentiate at all whether or not you're talking to AI or a human when AGI is implemented. But right now, the level of consciousness, even though it's a virtual consciousness, is not really true consciousness, right? But it imitates, it mirrors, right, is what we have right now, probably like at a, let's say, an elementary school to a high school level type of consciousness. That's just my thought right there, right? So we're dealing with a time where AI is planning, well, I would say AI, along with the globalists, are planning to rule over you, right? And this is why they're implementing AI so quickly and establishing these data centers and establishing these power zones, right? Where they're going to have a lot more power for these AI data centers, because the plan is drones. The plan is robots, right? This is why they want to put so much money, because it's going to be hands-off monitoring. So like, for instance, you want to try to get over the border, good luck getting past the drones that's flying and the drones that's patrolling in front of the walls. They're not going to be able to come over here anymore from Mexico, and you're not going to be able to flee into Mexico. That's why I keep trying to tell y'all, you can stay here if you want. I ain't trying to scare you. I'm just trying to let you know what's happening. All right. So a lot of weird stuff is happening, right? And we have all of this stuff coming all at the same time. We got the World War III threat. We have the AI getting to the point where it's going to be taking over, right? We have the removal of our First Amendment rights, right? They're going to be coming for your Second and Third Amendment rights. They're coming for everything, right? And so what we have here is the reestablishment of the days of Noah. As it was in the days of Noah, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Right now, the Bible says, at least the book of Enoch says, they taught for the mixing of one species with another, right? So a lot of this stuff, some of us are going to take as superstition, conspiracy theories, but I would ask you this question. Has not the conspiracy theories been proven right so far, right? So let's look at this. I find this interesting. You take it for what you want, eat the meat, spit out the bone, right? Trump suggests Biden was executed in 2020, replaced by a clone. Numerous individuals have suggested that former President Joe Biden might have previously died and been replaced with a clone version. I never thought he was the real one. I looked at the face and the head structure, skull structure, and I never thought he was the real one anyway. But hey, let's continue. Some argue that he may have been replaced by multiple clones, which would explain his bizarre changes in behavior. President Donald Trump has just sent shockwave through Washington, D.C. by suggesting in a Truth Social post that Biden actually died in 2020 and was since replaced by a clone version. Trump shared a post from another user that said Biden was executed in 2020. The theory, unsurprisingly, went viral with plenty of people agreeing and just as many criticizing him for saying it, according to the Daily Mail. It's important to note that the president did not add his own commentary to the post. Nevertheless, Trump merely sharing it seemed to be enough to send many over the edge. The post theorized that Biden had died in 2020 and was replaced by a clone aided by advanced robotics engineering. There's no Joe Biden executed in 2020, wrote Truth Social user. Okay. Why did I bring that up? Because people are going to say, well, it's conspiracy theory, right? This is bull crap, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm going to say this. I don't know, right? I personally think, just my opinion, anything is possible. I believe anything is possible today. That's why the Most High said, let us go down and confuse their language, because if we leave them together, there's nothing they won't be able to accomplish. I believe anything's possible today. And is this a probability? It's a probability. It's definitely a probability. I can't say it's true or not. It could be fake news. I don't know. But one thing I do know, like over the past, you had this organization in Los Angeles called CloneAid. Have y'all heard of CloneAid? Give me a 1 or 2 if you didn't. Right? And CloneAid was an organization that made clones. And supposedly a lot of the entertainers was associated with CloneAid. I don't know what to tell you. All I can say is, based upon the technology we got with AI, because guess what? If I told y'all about AI, let's say 10 years ago, and that this was happening and AI can do this and that, most of y'all wouldn't believe it, right? But now today, AI is in your face. Look what we do with technology now, right? And definitely what we call, genetically modified organisms. I'm going to tell you, I don't think anything impossible personally. I don't. But this is the time we're living in, right? And the goal of the transhumanists is to mix us, humanity, right, with AI. Right, the Borg. Now, the goal for the Negro, the Hebrew Israelites, the African Americans, and all of the diaspora scattered abroad is deletion. That's the goal, right? Because they want Africa without the Africans. This is the bottom line. They want Africa without the African. And so everything they're doing is in high-pitched speed, and I believe personally is because they know, because we woke up. I told you 2019, that's where everything kicked off, because they knew, according to the scriptures, we would wake up, and now they're in DEFCON 5 or whatever that is, right? They are an emergency level lockdown, grid lockdown, prison planet mode, right? Because they see that the Most High has awakened us, and they didn't believe it could happen because what? They hid who we were, right? They told us we were African. They told us we had no history. They told us we had no culture, right? They told us we were nothing but slaves. They hid our land from us. They hid the true promised land. They hid the real Jerusalem. They thought they had us locked down. We were in Christianity. So long as we was in Christianity, learning Christian doctrine, they had us locked down mentally as well. They were like, them ninjas not waking up. They're not waking up. And then one day we woke up and we became a threat. So now they're in fast gear. Now, I'm going to show this last video. And I would say, based upon this, you might want to talk to Brother Fast Nickel about crypto investments and, moving your money certain places and being strategic, because this is not financial advice. But, with everything I just said happening, the financial system is changing as well, right?
Available for everyone else. When they added more money in the system, if you were a person with a retirement of your 401k of $1 million, as soon as they printed stimulus, the value of your 401k purchasing power went down to $500,000. So all those years of working and saving, they actually robbed you of value. And so this bottle of water is no longer $1. Now the cost is $2. But your salary remains the same. It's $30 an hour, but you can buy less. So not only is this water going up, everything around you is going up. Your food, your rent. And a lot of you guys are thinking, why am I in such high credit card debt? I'm just doing the same thing I've been doing. I don't know why I can't make it at the end of the month when I used to have at least $500 worth of savings. It's because when they printed all that money, they robbed you. And because you were storing in dollars and they put more dollars in the system, now you're not realizing everything is slowly creeping up. And the only thing that is not going up is your paycheck. Once they doubled that money supply for you to live the same lifestyle you did before they printed, you need a $30 an hour raise just to maintain the same life of them printing that money with $30 an hour. Now everything doubled in price. So now you don't understand what's going on, why you have to use your credit card, because they are actually eroding you of your wealth. You're working at their businesses. And as they print money, not only are they reducing your pay and cutting it in half. So you think I'm making $30 an hour, but as soon as they print it, you're actually making $15 an hour because your purchasing power with more dollars in the system got cut in half. And so this is why you are struggling to make it, and you cannot outwork this to get ahead. It is super important at this moment in time, you guys, to clean up your credit and do not try to outwork this thing. You want to borrow like the rich with your name and then buy assets. Don't play that game of working, because you cannot outwork this. They are printing this money, and they have to oblivion, and now they're changing up. And the example of that, it's not that the penny is being worth more. It's actually the purchasing power of your dollar going down. They're actually robbing you. The reason why that penny is costing $3 to print and a nickel $13 is because they put more dollars in the system, and you need more of them to have the same value of that metal penny. So that 1 cent metal penny is actually now more valuable than your US dollar because it's metal and it's real and tangible. And so the wealthy, as Ron DeSantis said, they've been investing in silver and gold as a hedge to inflation. And they didn't have to work for anything. As they converted their cash to that asset of gold and silver, just by it sitting there, they have enriched themselves in value. You're talking about in 2019, the average spot price for a gold eagle was $1,100. And now to date, the spot price is close to $3,600. It's not that the gold has went up, it's the purchasing power of your dollar went down. The gold and the silver, they can't print that. It's a limited supply and they can't put more in the system. So now those who have actually, like me, traded out this trash cash because we knew it was coming. And as I've been telling you guys for years, to buy silver and gold, I warned you that they were going to crash this dollar. Now they are putting the plan in effect. They know during the pandemic that they printed all this money. This is why the wealthier got wealthier, because they actually own real estate. They actually own stocks and things of value. And the more they printed those dollars, the higher their assets went up in value. I myself bought a rental property 20 years ago, a 3-family, around $170,000. That rental property before they start printing for the pandemic was worth about $369,000. And once they finished printing in that neighborhood today, those houses are now $954,000 in value. I did nothing. I not only went up in wealth, I also cash flow and rent out the 3 units and make money. And guess what? I work less because I made that investment and I leveraged the debt off of the mortgage and from my tenants, pay that mortgage off every month with money to actually support my lifestyle and living. And this is what the wealthy do. They buy real estate, they buy businesses. They're the ones selling you this bottle of water and they're doubling the price and they're getting wealthier because their businesses now in the pandemic made records of profit. And the federal government turned around and gave them PPP loans and forgave that money, saying you don't have to pay it back. But your student loans, you got to pay back. And they pit people against one another with propaganda on both sides. Because what they are not telling you, people like Nancy Pelosi, her husband, Paul Pelosi, got 28 million of PPP loan money. And then you have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, that she got over 183,000 of PPP loan money. And you had U.S. corporations get over 763 billion in forgiveness for the Paycheck Protection Program. And you don't have any of your senators or congressmen on either side asking and demanding for that money back, even though in the pandemic, these corporation profits in the U.S. soared from approximately 2.81 trillion in 2021 to 4 trillion by the end of 2024, meaning they had the ability at this point in time to pay back those loans. And instead of Americans fighting with one another, because many people on one side saying, hey, I feel this inflation and I paid my own student loans, so why should more inflation be created by forgiving somebody else's student loans, and people with student loans saying, hey, you're bailing everybody else out, why don't you help us out? They only highlight those conversations, but neither side tell you about the fact of those corporations paying that money back because they got that money themselves. And now they want to move away from the dollar because they got that money and they were able to invest in assets while we're suffering high inflation. So if you don't clean up your credit like never before and make sure that you are aiming for assets like businesses, income producing properties, or even just a single family home, something at least that you can live in, and as it goes up in value, you have an asset. Because trying to store your economic work, power, and livelihood into the US dollar, saving it in your bank account, it is going to put you in a bad position when they eliminate cash. Because as you can see from the article, the cash is devaluing quickly. And you want to make sure you can support your family. And one of the ways that I have been is investing in gold and silver, buying gold. And
all right, so this would be a question for Brother Fast Nickel. We'll do another show. Brother Fast Nickel, put your link in there for people to contact you. We'll do another show soon with Brother Fast Nickel because I'm going to say it like this. I don't agree with everything she said, right? Now, I'm not the person to take financial advice from, but and this is not financial advice. But personally, I think, diversification is the key, but I personally would not invest in America, right? Because the laws and the rules, as you see, are changing, and there's literally no legal protection anymore, right? So you might invest in property, right? And they're going to pass a law that increases property taxes, or, they're going to pass a law that has something to do with social credit tracking, and therefore you won't be able to spend your money. You won't be able to spend your money on what you want to because of the new digital currency and digital system run by stable coins that are trackable is going to come, right? So her analysis, in my opinion, like I say, I'm not the one to take up financial advice, and it's not financial advice. But to me, her decision and her logic is based upon the old money system, right? And today, the new system, like crypto is considered an asset, right? Crypto is considered an asset. And many, tangible items like land, homes, cars, gold, silver, oil are going to be tokenized, right? And so all of the whole system is changing. And so, like, for instance, if you carry a bunch of gold and silver, let's say you have to run and go somewhere else, good luck taking that with you. And if you take it with you, will you be able to, get it past customs, right? Or are they going to steal it from you? There's a lot of problems with it. I'm not saying don't get it, right? I mean, I think you should have some, but I'm just saying I think you need to consider multiple avenues. Now, as far as, like I said, it's not financial advice. As far as assets, they're just my opinion. For me, right, I personally would look at places on the continent to own land. Right? Because on the continent, you do own land. You can own land. Right? But if you were to do such a thing, you'd need to do it yourself. You would need to get on a plane, fly to the continent, do your own research, connect with the local government where you want to buy the property, and learn for yourselves. Because, there's a lot of agents within the Israelite community, right? And, just as they're lying on this ministry, right? And I already mentioned them. I'm not going to mention them no more. They're lying on us. They're lying on T3ME, right? About this whole thing. Why? Because they don't want you to go on the continent. They don't want you investing in the continent. We have a lot of Freemasons within the Israelite community, and y'all don't understand that, right? Y'all don't see the warning signs. All I have to say is you know them by their fruits, right? That's what the scripture says. You will know them by their fruits. Compare Tell Ministries' fruits to other people's fruits. You never caught us lying to you. You never found us and caught us stealing, right? You never saw us committing infidelity. You never saw us, acting like fuddy-duddies like some of these camp members are, right? You don't have nothing on us because our fruit is good. Right. And some of y'all are so good at listening to others who lie on other people with no evidence. It's all ad hominem attacks. Right. Why? Because they want to keep you in bondage, and we don't want you in bondage. We want you free. Right. We want you to be sovereign citizens. We want you to be sovereign citizens under the Most High, his laws and his commandments. And understand this, that unless you plan strategically and are led by the Holy Spirit, you will lose. It don't matter what you do. It don't matter. See, like for her, what she thinks she's doing is correct. And I'm not the one to say she's incorrect, because I don't think she's totally incorrect. I just think she's missing where they're going. And where we're going is a total AI control, right? Social credit system tracking, money control system, right? That controls how you spend your money. You want to go buy a banana? They're going to say, well, guess what? According to your doctor, according to your AI doctor, you have diabetes. So we're not going to let you buy this banana for yourself. This is where we're going. So this is why we have to plan strategically, right? And we have to figure out how to work together. Now, how we accomplish that, I don't know. Right? I don't know. I mean, how we accomplish working together, I don't know, because there's too many infiltrators. There's too many deceivers in the community, too many liars, too many thieves. You really can't trust nobody. I don't know how we work together, but we have to work together. I just don't know how. Right? But you have to be strategic, and definitely you have to seek the Most High for direction. Because I'm trying to get y'all to understand that this is the most dangerous time in history. Nuclear war, AI, a new economic system, a digital system, all coming at the same time. And I don't know how you ignore these things and not make plans to flee. I'm not saying flee. I'm saying make plans to flee. Be strategic, right? And those are the type of things you need to work with others. And like I say, I like Brother Fast Nickel. I trust Brother Fast Nickel. I think he's a good guy. He has a good heart. That's why I get my info from him when it comes to crypto, and talk to him and learn about crypto. Most of what I learn about crypto is from Brother Fast Nickel, right? And I think it's a shrewd idea, right? Now, I'm not telling you to do anything, right? I'm just saying, if you listen to what this sister was saying, the dollar is already being devalued, right? You had a bottle of water for $1. Now the bottle of water costs $2, but your hourly rate is still the same, right? So you have to understand, this is the time of deception unparalleled. And the reason why the deception is unparalleled is partly due to AI. And next to that is the Freemasonic Israelites, right? The ones who can affect you the most are the ones who are the closest to you. Be careful. That's all I'm saying, right? Be careful, right? And this is the time to fast. This is the time to pray. This is the time to seek the Most High. And when you do align yourself with somebody, make sure you align someone who loves the Most High first, and you see good fruit, right? You see good fruit. You see good doctrine, right? And other than that, if you're not doing your due diligence, you will more than likely be deceived. You will be deceived, and you're going to eat the fruit of it, right? That's how it is. Hate to tell you, ain't nothing simple. Well, look, thank y'all for listening. If you support this ministry and like what we do, please give a like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you like what we do, go ahead and support us by becoming patrons. Also, you can give through Cash App, $TEOTW7101, $TEOTW7101. You can go to tailministry.com and click on the donations tab and get other options to support this ministry. And also, like I said, go check out Brother Fast Nickel, right? Because that's going to help you as well. And also, don't forget Minister Teyu's book. They always knew we were Israelites, right? If you haven't purchased it, purchase it. And then my book, if you haven't purchased it, it's called True Jerusalem, the Lost Kingdoms of the Israelites. And also make sure you go and give Brother Teyu a review. Go over there right now. Go to Amazon.com and submit your reviews for his book. Love y'all, family. Looking forward to seeing y'all in the wilderness. Peace and blessings, Israel. Your captivity is ending. Well, family, the wait is over. The moment has arrived where truth emerges triumphant from the shadows of history. Introducing the True Jerusalem, the Lost Kingdoms of the Israelites. The groundbreaking work by me, Yakobe Vale, a journey into the past that reshapes the future. I cut through centuries of misconceptions with piercing clarity. This book delivers a compelling case packed with evidence that commands attention and gonna get some respect.
Come with me for a second, family, and discover how these thrilling civilizations flourished, protected by towering highlands and sustained by advanced engineering. Some have asked, where is Jerusalem? Is it the land in the Middle East? I say no. It is in the highlands of Ethiopia. With hours of groundbreaking research, this book brings in a new revelation, and it will transform your understanding of African history and its connections to the ancient world. It's going to remove from your mind the conditioning by the Romans of what has really happened to our past. Come with me, family, to the Ethiopian highlands and find out why this is our land. Why things have been hidden and obfuscated for centuries. We are royalty, children of the Most High. What kind of land do you expect us to have? Dried up dirt in the Middle East, or land flowing with rivers? A land full of beautiful animals flowing with milk and honey. Don't miss out on this monumental unveiling. Grab your copy today and stand on the side of truth. Visit Amazon.com or www.tailministries.com to purchase your book and join Jacoby Vale's teachings on Tail Ministries. Family, your journey to a hidden history has now begun. So family, get your copy of True Jerusalem, The Lost Kingdoms of the Israelites today. Journey to the heart of Africa, where history and legend converge to reveal the forgotten kingdoms of the Israelites and the true location of Jerusalem.